Oh, it's a really good name for taking the Mickey out of, isn't it? Perfect.
Excellent. So, well, thank you so much for coming today. It's such a hot day. I'm in the cool room, but I'm working underneath. I've got a loft room, and it's so hot. It literally kind of just puts you to sleep almost, doesn't it? So, yeah. But thanks for coming. Actually, I think it's almost too hot outside. Barney sends his apologies. He's got a bad tooth, unfortunately. He bit on something, so he's got a bad tooth. Otherwise, he would have been here as well. Yeah, it's a shame. There's Harriet. Excellent. Hold on, let's admit Harriet. So, hold on, she's coming. It's always that moment, isn't it, when they try and join. Yeah.
Shall I advise her?
Excellent. Right. Oh, what a funny thing. Hello.
Hiya. Oh. Right.
Hey. How are you, Harriet?
Yeah, all right. Sorry, I was just sorting the kids out.
Yeah.
I could have a little bit of uninterrupted time, maybe.
Oh, I know. Have you sent them outside in the paddling pool?
No, it's a bit hot, really.
I know, isn't it?
But yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
Check the thermometer. It says it's 31.
31. Wow.
So.
Excellent. Great. Yeah. So all I said is thanks for coming, although it's really, really hot outside, and that Barney sent his apologies. He bit on something, he's got a really bad tooth. So, but thank you for coming, and thank you for Mick to be our topic and subject today. And I know you all know by now how it all works. We just have a little conversation, and Mick telling us a little bit about your background and your practice and what inspires you, but then also kind of what inspired you to join the group, and kind of, you know, what you enjoyed most about being part of the group, and what it's given to you, especially with a view to the lockdown period, which we're obviously now leaving, which is we're in a strange transition, even more so than last week, isn't it? Because apparently it's almost back to normal, but I also know a lot of people feel quite apprehensive about it. So this kind of easing of lockdown doesn't come with the kind of expected joy in a way. It kind of, I feel it comes with a bit of anxiety and uncertainty as to how we should really behave. So actually at the end of this, I'd be interested to see and hear from you, you know, how we should continue with the group and how it should continue, because I think it's a nice point to kind of connect and touch base. But let's do that at the end. So again, coming back to Mick, so kind of, if you could talk about yourself, and then there'll be those 4 questions that we have at every lockdown. So what inspired you to join? What did you most enjoy about being part of the group? What do you think the new normal will be? And what's your wish for the future? But I'll come back to those. So just a bit, Mick, actually, I didn't know you worked in the prison service, so that was a real revelation for me last week, and that you knew Graham and that you knew Lisa. So I knew you as well as a friend of Martin, but then I discovered you're a great artist as well when you kind of presented some work to showcase in the little gallery that Martin ran for a while on Newland Avenue.
A long time ago.
And I think that was just when you left your work and you started to, and I was really, really impressed with your drawings, actually. So yeah, over to you.
Right. So I worked in the prison for, I actually got my 25 years service certificate, which was fabulous.
What was it? Was it a medal or?
No, I got a crappy tankard with HMP Hull engraved on it, which
You got it in the background.
But so I've been teaching adults since the early 90s, and I worked for the youth service, then I went into the prison, all to do with art, design, photography, silk screen printing. I first started teaching, and I don't know, I've always been creative. Obviously I've worked in creative industries, and I work with creative people also. So I'm always surrounded by creative people, musicians, painters. I don't know many writers. I know a couple, but yeah. So that's about as much background as I can think is relevant, really. Yeah. So go on.
Sorry,
How did
Graham.
you get the job in the prison, Mike?
Say that again.
How did you get the job in the prison? Because we all seem to have come through different, diverse, means. How did you end up getting there?
Well, I was working for the adult education department at Hull City Council. I met Steve Dove, who was then the manager of the education department, and he said, "Would you be interested in coming and having a look?" So I went in to have a look around. Didn't think much of it. A couple of weeks later, he says, "Oh, can you come back in?" I said, "Yeah, sure." And I was thinking, "Oh, some sort of interview or something." And I went back in and he says, "Right, there's your class. You're in there today." It's like, what? And that was it. I was teaching. And about 3 months later, I had an interview and got the job, which I'd been doing for 3 months anyway. But no, it was a different world back then. It was, induction was fiery. It was challenging, but it was good. And I've obviously stayed. And I think, Graham, you joined maybe 6 months after me, something like that.
No, because I did 20 years, Mike. Oh, no. How long have you been left? How long have you been left? Oh, 2, 3 years?
4 years, yeah.
4 years. Oh, well,
Yeah.
yes, about,
I didn't. The 25 years there was a couple of years of that was working outside prison. So
right.
yeah.
Mick, what did you? Because I mean, you beautiful photographs, but you're also a painter. But what's your subject matter, or what's your preferred creative output? Actually, is it painting? Is it photography? And you're a musician as well. Did you train?
Yeah.
Did you go to?
I studied fine art, painting and printmaking
Okay.
at Sheffield, same as Lisa. So yeah, I mean, technically I suppose I'm a painter, but I'm really lazy. And making images with a camera is so much quicker. And you can get the same effect. I paint in my head every day. I've got loads of paintings up there, but never actually got them on canvas. Because once I do start painting, I can't do anything else. It's all consuming. And everything goes out the window. There's no life balance. I'm either painting or I'm not, and I forget to eat. I don't get washed. It's just mad.
Really?
So I try to avoid it. But with a camera, you can put it in your bag and get it out again whenever. And it's a quicker thing. So, but I do love making images with a camera. I still don't call myself a photographer, but I suppose I've always looked at photographs, any image. I'm constantly looking at images. So that's where it came from.
That's really interesting, actually. That whole concept, isn't it, of kind of looking at photography as a painting as well, or a painting that you can capture.
Yeah, it's all the same thing.
quickly.
It's making an image with objects in a space that relate to each other in some way or another. But I mean, I normally I draw almost every day, doodle and just little drawings. So I'm always drawing. But I've not done any painting for about 3 years, I don't think.
You make it sound like a mental illness.
It is, definitely.
Right.
Yeah, and I suffered for it a lot.
How long did it take you to figure that out, actually?
It's a mental illness.
No, that's kind of that, painting is, in a way, it sounds like it's not good for you.
No, well, it is, and it isn't. It's good for me. It's not good for everybody around me.
Okay, interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
But good for you.
Yeah. But I've found other outlets now, which are a little easier.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Excellent. So what inspired you to join the group then? Was that something? Yeah.
Well, I'd started making still lifes just before I saw the group. Well, I read Patti Smith's book M Train at Christmas, and there's a massive section in there about her relationship with Robert Mapplethorpe, who was one of my favourite photographers.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd done that. And then a couple of weeks before lockdown, I went to see the Bill Brandt and Henry Moore exhibition at Wakefield at the Hepworth Gallery. And they were comparing his photographs to Henry Moore's drawings. And I've always loved Bill Brandt's kind of contrast, really heavy use of contrast. So I'd read this book, thought about Mapplethorpe, then thought about Bill Brandt, and I'd planned to go see Penny Smith's exhibition of the Clash photographs at the Museum of London. But I'd booked a place in King's Cross to stay. I was going to do some street photography, look at the exhibition, and it was the day that all the pubs shut and lockdown started, really. So I thought, oh, shit, what can I do instead? So I started looking at, I thought, well, I'll make some still lives which relate to what I can remember of Mapplethorpe's. And the first one I did, I don't know, can you see that?
Yeah.
I've reversed my screen, but I don't think it's working. So it might be backwards. But that was the first one.
Yeah.
And from there, it got out of control. The spare bedroom was set up into a studio, and I produced loads, which I'm sure you've all seen. And I got obsessed with, well, I started off with the white background. I was trying to get things as simple as possible. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah.
But really simple, quite strong, but simple compositions.
They look lovely as prints.
They do work quite well as prints.
Oh.
Oh, this is one of my, where's me? I don't know if you'll be able to see this one as much. Well, that's one of my favourites. You see that?
Yeah, yeah.
Just really simple. Looking at, I suppose, negative space and smaller objects in that negative space. And that's I don't know. My screen's terrible, so I don't know what you can see there.
No.
But yeah, that's how it all started off. And then obviously I saw your group and I thought, perfect. It's a good way for me to show what I'm doing to other people out there and see who's joined the group. And I noticed, I think I saw some of Lisa's work, and then I saw some of Graham's work, and I thought, oh, there's a lot of people I know. And I just liked the diversity of stuff on there. There was a lot of just totally different. I mean, not all of it was still life, which was a good thing, I think, but it just got people being creative and just showing little insights into their world or their thinking or their creative process. So that's what made it good for me.
Yeah. No, that's great. That's lovely, actually, because it's one thing that I was surprised with, but in a positive way, that, you know, the range of people and what they posted, and it always felt really personal. Like Facebook calls it kind of visual storytelling, and I thought there was a real element of that visual storytelling in there. And I mean, you know, from the really highly accomplished, beautiful compositions like yours and Lisa's to people just, you know, showing pictures of their garden or kind of like their shelf display. But I really liked the range of, well, in inverted commas, still lives, isn't it? Because they weren't strictly still lives. So yeah, that's great. And so what did you most enjoy about the group? Did it give you kind of a sense of, belonging, a community, something to kind of focus your effort during lockdown in a way, so it doesn't just dissipate? Or what did you?
There was definitely that focus there, thinking about which one shall I do next, which became kind of competitive with myself, because the next one had to be better than the previous one. So I was making more and more just to get one that was better than the one before to show. But and I say it was good. And David Sinclair was on there, who I shared a studio space with at college. We had the studio, and I'd not seen him for the first time I saw him was when he was curator at Hum Street Gallery for City of Culture, and I'd not seen him for years before that. And then we've bumped into each other since every now and again. But that was good to reform that relationship, and with we have banter on Instagram and Facebook now, so that was good.
Yeah, that's true, isn't it? Some people kind of seem to have come in at one point, but then have dropped off. Yeah, I forgot he was on there.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who came in and dropped off. But
yeah.
I mean, I've not posted anything for a few days, but it's still there. I still have a look every day. That's the other thing. It's something else to look at that's not. It's kind of. It's not political. It's not in your face. It's just something you can look at and relax and chill out and understand other people are going through the same creative process as you are, I suppose.
Yeah.
I think the process you were talking about, Mick, about the progress, doing more and doing like the first one and then doing another one and then seeing the progression. Yeah. I think that's really interesting and really addictive as an artist, because I'm very addictive and I really like that. Once I start, I just have to do more and more and more, just to sort of see, just myself sort of gauge any kind of progression. And in teaching as well, like we always talk to the lads about that, idea if they've not drawn before and they've done a drawing and then they kind of, we talk about all the really good bits and then I always say to them, do more, just carry on, do loads, and then by the time you get down to your sort of 10th or 20th drawing, you'll look back and you'll be amazed at the progression, just because it is just a natural thing, isn't it? The more you do something, the sort of more,
the thing you're working on now will inform the thing you're going on to next, which has also been informed by every other thing you've made and every other thing you've looked at in between. Because when I was making these things, I was looking at other sources of inspiration as well, pulling bits from here and pulling bits from there. And so you're learning all the time. I think that's the beauty of it. You're learning all the time. You might just be learning for yourself and learning about yourself, but that's the beauty of being creative, I think.
Yeah. That's a wonderful insight, actually. I really like it. I mean, both of your series I absolutely adored. Graham's series, it's just really inspiring. And I really enjoyed that, the contrast, between your artistic approach to the group versus, the more kind of immediate, impulsive kind of posts by other people. And for a while, it was kind of during the middle of lockdown, I really felt there was one specific person. I know that he's, by background, he's a carpenter. I know him from kind of my childhood, but I felt like his photographs got a lot more arty, like the things he would take pictures of, so it really felt like the group was almost, some people were learning from others and were inspired by what other people would post. So I really like that creative exchange. And I think that's this kind of group now, the talking. I mean, I was hoping that some of the kind of other people that aren't necessarily, as accomplished artists or trained artists would also come and have a exchange. And I might still approach some of them, who've done it with a more kind of just, impulsive approach. But I love what you both just said about that series and how you learn. And I might actually do that now myself. I feel like I've learned something. It's great, because I think it's that focus. And great. So that was brilliant. So next, another question we always ask in this group, because it's a topic that's come up a lot. Oh, sorry. First of all, hello, Jill. Hi, Jill. Thanks for joining. Do you know everybody on here?
Not everyone, I don't think. Sorry, I was late. I was talking to an artist. But no, I don't think I know everyone.
Okay. We didn't do introductions at the beginning, but if you just want to say something quickly about yourself, Jill.
Okay. Hi everyone, my name's Jill. I've put in a few photographs for Lockdown Still Lives, but it was really lovely to see all the things that people were doing and sharing in those circumstances. I'm afraid I couldn't come to the two earlier meetings, but I've come along late to this one, which makes me feel like a naughty student. About me, I do Critical Fish, which is a magazine for visual arts and writing, and very much kind of supporting creativity in Hull, and that's about it on me, I think. Thank you, Marianne.
No, that's great. Yeah, I mean, for any of you who haven't looked at the Critical Fish website, do it. It's brilliant. It's an amazing little asset for Hull, I find, you know, and it brings together that, you know, creative writing and the visual arts in a unique platform, and provides a great opportunity for people to express themselves, both, you know, in a literary sense in a way and in a visual sense. So it's great, I think. Amazing. So Jill, we're kind of going through a couple of questions that we ask every artist on Focus. Today it's Mick Murphy. So we're on to the third question now, and that is, because there has been a lot of talk about the new normal, because when we entered lockdown, it really felt there was an opportunity to look at things differently, to experience life differently. You know, a lot of people have enjoyed the slowing down. For other people, it was a real challenge. So there was a lot of talk about the new normal, and I was wondering what you think the new normal will be, if there is such a thing as normal, as Barney last time argued. So
yeah, well, that's it. I think it's going to have to adjust a bit. I've noticed. I mean, the next big thing for me will be the pubs opening, but I've looked at a couple of pubs where they've put perspex shutters up now and something new like that, and I just don't want to sit in that environment. It's going to be really odd not being able to get up and go join another table, or I don't know if I can cope with that. I think I'd probably rather stay in and have a drink in the garden with a few friends. But it is that adjusting period. Public transport, wearing masks, and I don't know I don't know how long it's going to go on for. I don't know how long it's going to last. I don't know how people are going to manage. But I think it's kind of the unknown, isn't it? It's how will people react? How will people behave? How will small businesses cope? If you've got a very small pub and you can only get 5 or 6 people in there, is it going to be worth them opening? Will it cost more to pay the bills and the staff than they're going to earn? So will it actually work? And that's the scary thing if you're running a small business in the hospitality area, or a small cafe or coffee shop or whatever.
It is, isn't it? And I've read somewhere today, but that apparently they're not even going to be allowed to play music.
No singing.
So there's obviously no live performances,
No
but
live
they're not even allowed to put music on, because I guess people could just, you know, forget about themselves and go crazy. So I think, yeah, it does feel very kind of unreal and not how we're used to enjoying ourselves, isn't it? Yeah. So, yeah. So what is your wish for the future then? That might lead on nicely actually from that in a way.
I'm not sure. I've never been one for normal, as in, I don't really know what normal is. But as long as everybody can get back together and form some sort of relationships as close to as they were before, that's the best we can do, I think. And then adapt and just take it easy, take it slow.
Yeah.
And just keep going.
And with regards to,
I was going to say, but I mean, I do miss already performing and going to see bands and going to see gigs, and that's going to be the next thing for me.
Yeah.
Graham's coming back.
Graham's coming back. And just before, because I'm on a 40-minute limit, unfortunately, due to just being on the free version rather than paying for this. So we've got about 8 minutes left, but if that just stops, if you could just click on the link again and we'll rejoin. So I would like now to ask everybody, you can ask Mick and have a conversation if you have any questions for Mick and his work and his practice. You know, let's open up the conversation.
Sorry about, can you hear me? Sorry about that, everybody. The computer decided to verify and update, so it cut out. Sorry about that, Mike. Sorry,
no
sorry
problem.
I missed that. Looking forward to it. I think one of the things. Sorry.
I'm sure Marianne's recorded it.
Yeah, yes. I'll buy the video. One of the things I was interested in, Mike, was when you mentioned there's something that's quite I like about photography is the speed of it, the speed of it making really. And I know you touched on that, you maybe spoke about that, but I think that's something that is, you know, quite unique to the medium really, where you can, and the editing as well, like the editing, like everything about it really. You know, that in fact you take an image in a split second, and you take multiple images, well, you know, 100 if you wanted. And then you're going back and editing, looking through that and kind of working with it. So it's kind of such a beautiful medium, isn't it, to be involved with?
Yeah, I mean, it is relatively quick, but some of those still lifes took maybe 2 or 3 hours to set up. And especially the ones I was using in the sunlight, having to wait for the sunlight to come. And the window I was using was a tree outside. So every time the wind blew, the light changed. So it made, a couple of them took maybe 2 hours to get the right shot. And then editing quite quick really, because just the way I'd set the thing up, I basically had the shot I wanted in the camera. And then it was really
that's the wonderful thing where you can take like an hour, maybe setting up, and turn it into a split second. So, you know, you're only showing a very tiny amount of the actual time, the thought process that goes into it really. And then there's the idea that formulates before the setting up and all that. So the photograph that's done in a split second can actually be days long. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, or weeks or whatever. Thinking about things for weeks before you do it.
Have you tried any with Polaroids? It'd be interesting to see what they look like on Polaroid, wouldn't it?
I haven't. No, I've not had a Polaroid camera for years. But I want to be getting one of those.
Yeah, because with you spending that much time to set it up and then waiting for the light, that's really interesting. That it's not manipulated, is it? That it is as shot sort of thing.
It is, but I suppose there is a certain amount of manipulation. As in, I'm waiting for that right moment. So I'm manipulating.
But that's it, all outside the camera, rather than
all outside the camera.
Or on the computer,
Yeah. But I went into a darkroom a couple of months ago, and it took so long. It was ridiculous. Printing an image and getting it right took so long. And I came home and I did the same image. I scanned the same image, scanned the negative, and it took about 5 minutes in Lightroom, and it took about 3 hours in the darkroom to get something similar. And I couldn't get what I wanted in the darkroom. But that's me out of practice, maybe. But it's a totally different world.
It's like going on somebody else's computer with a different program or something, isn't it?
It is in a way. Yeah.
Or going in someone's kitchen to cook a recipe that you know.
Yeah.
Has everybody read the book by David Hockney, The Secret Knowledge? Have you all come across that?
Yeah.
He talks about the way the photo or the lens has been in use, you know, going back to the 15th century. And so a lot of people really think that all those artists that were making really realistic paintings back then were doing it freehand. And it was all done by lenses. As soon as it could shape glass into a lens, all the artists, like we all jump on the latest technology nowadays, you know, buying whether it's iPhones or laptops. Back then, as soon as the lens was developed, they would use that to project, you know, like with a camera obscura or, you know, camera, you know, they have a device to project an image onto a wall. So it's been around for a lot more than what people think, you know, this idea of translating an image into a photographic likeness, I suppose.
Yeah, on that, because there was a TV series that went along with the book. Did you see the TV series? And he picked on the Raft of the Medusa and counted how many people were left-handed.
That's right.
And it was because the way it projected the images, they were all reversed.
Oh wow! Yeah.
There was like one right.
Best artists left-handed, aren't they?
Handed.
I thought all the best artists were left-handed.
Are they? I don't know. I can use both.
You must be, yeah.
No, right-handed. I eat left-handed.
But it's a great book. You know, it's a fantastic book, a brilliant read. And it's completely transformed your whole way of thinking about, you know, how pictures are made and the way of perception, and just a fantastic book.
It's interesting, isn't it? To me, it always raises this question around, you know, real art and the role of the artist, because there's still kind of some perception always, kind of the harder it is and the longer it takes, kind of the more valid it is. But it isn't necessarily, isn't it? It's kind of realizing that vision that you've got in your head and kind of putting that into reality by whichever means is possible, isn't it? It doesn't matter if it's quick or if it's easier than like a dark room, you know, the dark room versus the computer. It's interesting, isn't it? It's the results you want, or I guess the closest you can get to that vision in your head.
Yeah, it's like light room, dark room. When people used to say it was cheating using the computer, we always used to like say it was just the light room to the dark room, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think the other thing as well is, which is really cool, is you don't need to be very precious about stuff. You know, you don't have to you can just get rid of it, can't you, and go again. You know, it's great like that. You don't have to have something hanging around that's like a failure. You can just delete it and that's that. Kind of put it to bed really. But when you've got things around you that are not working out, it's not great for your mental health or your kind of, you know, your vision really. Yeah. What do you, Mike? Do you see in black and white? Can you see in black and white, or can you see? You know, see in colour?
Yeah, sort of. I mean, I've done a lot of. Do you will know the term abstract analysis, where I look at things and I take the names away. So if I'm drawing a portrait, I'm not drawing eyes and noses and mouths. I'm drawing shapes and lines. I've got a real weird vision for negative space as well, which was a nightmare lens to drive. It took me 5 times to pass my test. I see space differently, so I don't know why. But I do see, especially when I'm drawing, 9 times out of 10 I draw the space around an object before to create the object. So yeah, I do kind of see light and dark.
Because of your knowledge, your experience, and your craft. And I always just say to lads, you know, the way to see in black and white is just to close your eyes right down so they're almost shut. And you stop seeing colour, you just see tones, you know, dark and light.
That's right, yeah.
So it's a great little skill that for anybody who wants to be a photographer, just to see, you know, use those little techniques to, you know, I'm very interested in the vertical and the horizontal. In fact, we're all organic beings, you know, morphing shapes, moving around in boxes really. So we're all surrounded. Now you look at everybody's background. Lisa, you look like you're in it's like a chapel or something. It looks huge, that yurt. Looks fantastic, that. But apart from everybody else has got like, you know, straight lines around them. And I've noticed you're very good, you know, on your verticals and horizontals, you know, and that's something I'm really particular on with it. I know you're really good on that.
Excellent.
Really, you know,
I think I'm just gonna, because it's gonna cut us off any moment now, so I'm just gonna quickly end the meeting, and then if you just all click on the link again, and I'll see you all in a second again, okay? See you all in